Alrighty guys, welcome to MagnoTrading.com. Good to have you on, good to have you in. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Just give me a split second and we'll be ready to go. Appreciate you guys for subscribing to the MagnoTrading.com community. Clicking the icon to alert you if I make new videos. I really appreciate that, guys. Helps the channel out a ton. Other than that, let me just get everything set up and I'll be ready to go here shortly, okay? Alright. SIDU just doesn't want to give up, huh? Oh yeah, we're going to be going live with one of my students and great friends, Diego, the Bull. He went on to go live, so I thought I'd go live with him, but I just want to set everything up. Give me a split second here. Oh, let me turn my iTunes back on. Cool. Today's day 598. And then 160.7K. Today's the 15th. Cool. I'm alrighty, guys. Give me about a minute or so and I should have everything set up. Appreciate you guys subscribing to the MagnoTrading.com community. Click on the icon to alert for making new videos. I'd really appreciate that, guys. Helps the channel out a ton. Alright, small caps, boom, boom, trading floor. Alright. What's going on, guys? Should be ready to go here. All right. And then I just got to post on social media quick. Give me a second here, guys. Just getting everything set up. Alright, we're going to go red box as a runner, 8 ERC, SIDU, what else? CMRA. Rev. Cool. There's that. Let me go live on TikTok.
How much do you think I weigh?
There you go, like that. This. Alright, guys, we're live on all platforms here. So able to set that all up. Let me turn the volume up here. Okay, cool. And then let me see if I can pick a topic, continue with that for mic checks. Can you guys hear me? Let's see here. All right. Maybe it's not working. Check. Yeah, it should be working. All right, guys. Cool. See if it's working on YouTube. Yeah, it's working on YouTube. Cool. All right, guys. Diego should be coming on as well. Let's see if he is on here. All right. Trader for life. You can hear me? Cool. All right, Diego. Let's see here. Cool. There we go. Request. Accept. Awesome. All right, guys. We're going to go over today's trading day. Diego asked me to go live, so I thought I'd go live with him. Let's see if it's all going to work out here. What's going on, man? It's been a while.
Cam the man, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm on water as well. I'm doing well, my man. I'm doing well. Hey, dude. Bang. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Let me see if I can get this going. Yeah, I mean, today was a solid day. There was some good opportunity out there in the market, and at the end of the day, was able to take advantage. Feels nice to get back into the swing of things, but it's just another day in trading. You just got to keep things rolling and stay grounded as best as you can. So, but it does feel good, I'll tell you that.
Hey, dude. You know what? Some days are harder than normal, like trading, but it feels good to be rewarded for all your hard work because those days are around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, for me, as a student of the game, I just sit back and let the big dogs like you and the other guys kind of like set the standard, and I just catch the tail end of the, and try to hopefully one day get to that level. But, dude, honestly, like, just amazing work today, dude. I was really impressed. I saw the way you were completely cool today. I saw you working, in small caps, and I was like, okay, Cam's live. I love it when you're in there because, dude, you get the team riled up and everybody gets going and the starts kicking in, and I'm like, holy shit, like something big's about to happen, it seems like. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, let's see. I'm over here with my 5K day. Hey, I'm happy with that. And then I see you post. Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, what I've said on stream quite a few times is, I've been here many times in my career, and it's just one of those things that, like, it all starts somewhere, whether it's, like, I remember starting with $10, just like Jordan, just like you, and it all has to start from somewhere, and, today's an awesome day, but it's just because the market showed that it can do that, and I took on the risk knowing that. But I think that the biggest change lately is just, I'm moving now, and I've always traded better with my back against the wall. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I don't know, like, I just, I got super complacent over the past 9 to 10 months, just making the most stupid trades that I know I, like, over the past 2 or 3 months, I've been really getting back into the swing of things, really getting back into the grind of, like, how I usually trade, taking shorts here and there and taking longs when they're out there and kind of integrating things across the market and trading stocks that I know are setting up, waiting for FOMO to kind of size up, and it's just like it's all the same thing and just keeps compounding on itself. And it feels good to kind of, I was telling Jordan this the other day. I said, I've been trading better over the past 2 or 3 months, compared to the past 9 to 10 months. So, and I might, the scoreboard might not show it, but I know, it's all kind of like your program, like you, even if it's a red day. I said this yesterday. I was like, this is the worst feeling, or this is the best feeling red day I've had in months and months. And that's how, it's no different than when you're playing golf. I know I sometimes see you go live on golf. And, like if you hit a green, but you hit it like shit, right? Like you hit it on the heel or the toe. You're like, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I set out to do. I know it looked good, but at the end of the day, you're not trying to hit it on the toe or the heel. So, you see that on tour where these guys, they hit great shots and they throw their clubs because they didn't hit the shot that they wanted to hit, right? And it's no different than today. Like for me, Yesterday I traded really well. I traded everything exactly like I should have. I know that 9 times out of 10 those things work out, but it just didn't show up on the scoreboard. So I came back today and I said it on stream. I knew that there was going to be opportunities. We got lucky with AERC ripping and ramping like that. I was able to take that trade because it did rip, or else I wouldn't have been in it. I wanted to see 17s clear out before I started getting long on it. And I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest. I was like 80-20 that it wasn't going to happen. But if it did, I think I get the odds against me, or the odds on my side with SSR. And it being, a breakout level above 19, and I've already been in it. I already know how it runs, and I saw that it was low volume on SSR. And if there was shorts when that happens, is they can get crowded up, and they have no place but to cover once it gets over certain levels if it's on light volume. And I was able to take advantage of that 3 different times today. Alone, my first entry was, like I said, I waited for it to get above 17, 1775 in, 1915 out, and then 2060 in. And I did play pretty big sizes. I mean, I had 30,000 shares of AERC at one point. But it's all just based upon, I played it previously. I have a feel for it. So, but yeah, and I'm not being as complacent, and, so.
It's impressive to watch because you're kind of an OG in the market. Like you've already had your great success. You've hit these massive home runs. Your expectations are just so elevated.
Yeah.
That when you don't get that level, it's almost like kind of the draw, or not the drawdown, but the dark side of trading is that when you see these $100,000 days.
Mm-hmm.
A $2,000 winner to you is that's like $100 to me.
Right.
It's like $50, $2 to me. I'm used to averaging, like you see it, I average probably about $3,000 to $5,000 a day now.
Yeah.
Know the feeling that you're up against, because like you said, it's another day in trading, but yet that's your expectation.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is when you started to sort of lose your complacency and you just realized that you're like, you know what, I'm just not in love with it anymore. I'm training like the way I should be, like a true professional, the way you can be. And it's really good just to see you back, dude, because you watching you trade and hearing just your thesis on that is so much higher level than most people.
Mm-hmm.
You see the potential before anyone else does, and you're able to and that's literally your experience speaking right there. Like, I'm a scalper, you know that.
Yeah.
But I make small moves, and it's only because that's my level of comfort, that's my level of experience, and in maybe a year or two I'll be somewhere on that other end. But it's just amazing to hear what you can accomplish when all things are literally your experience shows. 2, when to, like you said, scale up. 3, the market's there. You said it, the market's FOMO.
Yeah.
So many variables, and those, all the reasons why shorts are going to get trapped. And they've gotten away with so much recently that they're like, oh, we're going to, they're okay when they're upside down, but once they start getting fees, trust me, that thing just takes off.
They're going to feel it eventually.
Yeah, they feel it, and so they've gotten away with so much lately, and so it's just honestly, the reason why I wanted to get you on is because, dude, I know it's another day of trading, but God, that is a big win.
Yeah. Well, in over the past 2 days in the inherited IRA, I've been crushing it in there, up about 700-800K in there. So, but all of it, I'm not here to flex and show big P&Ls. It all comes down to a process, a plan, and then the rest takes care of itself. When I hit that next leg up, my biggest days, I think like 1.1 million or something like that. But the next leg is 2 or 3 or 5, and it's just, if I can stay away from getting complacent, then I'll just keep leveling up, and that's my goal, And what do I mean by trading best when I'm back against the wall? Well, trading when I started was to put food on the table and a roof over my head, right? That was how it all started. I had to make a living. I had to figure out how I was going to do that, and it all started with $10, $100. And before you know it, you can put plenty of food on the table and a roof over your head with $1,000 a day, And I felt really, really good with that. I felt extremely happy about myself, and that was like, okay. And then I started doing $10,000 days, and I was like, wow, this is like really being life-changing. And then $100,000 days, and I'm like, okay, this is becoming more and more of a legacy kind of thing than anything. And then, I hit that $1 million day a couple times, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is life? And so,
right? Like a whole new level.
Yeah, it's a whole. Once you hit that 7-figure in one day, it's just like, what are you even like? What does money mean? And I just, it's more or less like, I love a competition and I love a battle, and when I'm on the screens, it is a battle. I've been in plenty of short positions that I've gotten squeezed out of, and I've accepted that. My biggest loss to date, I think, was like $500,000 on GameStop short. And I learned so much about that. I stopped shorting for about 6 months because of that. I got scarred so bad. And yeah, and at that point, though, I think I had netted about 2.4 million short on the year at that point. Jordan and I were looking, and he had no idea that I was that good of a shorter. He was like, because we started looking at he comes over sometimes, and we started looking at the trader view, and we were kind of taking guesses on what I was up short, and I had no idea, and he had no idea. I said, maybe like $500,000 or something, and he was like, yeah, I like 200K. Little did we know it was like 2+ million, and it just shows you, and then that one trade though, boom, and then I flipped long, and I was able to make some of it back. But trading is a fight, it's a battle, it's a competition, it's a constant evolving of what's going on at what time and what's happening in the world, and what lithium's hot, or Bitcoin craze, or whatever else it can be. There's always an evolution of what's happening in front of you, and you have to be willing to tear down your walls, get used to the change, and accept that things are going to happen over time, that it's out of your control, but you just have to go with the flow. You don't want to fight it. Don't fight anything that's going on in the world. Just play with what's going on. All I do with my job in my life is to figure out what's going on in front of me, where's my percentages, and how am I going to take that to better my trading, right? And that's kind of how I function, every single day. But the difference over the past 6 to 10 months prior to like, let's say, March was, I had made so much money so quickly. And, I'm super blessed and honored to be able to, have a place that I should be moving in here in the next week. That's the goal. You'll no longer see this background. Well, it'll be a different background, but, with supply chain, things are tough. But we're going to be moving in. I think the move-in date's the 24th of full-time living there. I know. I appreciate it. And that's been about a year and a half coming. And then we bought a lot of land about an hour and 15 from here. And it's a really awesome getaway. Like, you're in the woods, and it's literally such a different climate up there. It feels like you're in a different part of almost the world, or not world, but sorry, state. And it's really cool, and we're building that out as we speak. So, doing all those things definitely was an eye-opener, and getting into the place is going to be a huge eye-opener. And so, those things are kind of, I'm doing that as great personal opportunity, but not only that, it's awesome to be able to put my back against the wall, meaning, I'm able to spend some cash, get myself back into that, like, okay, let's keep grinding, rather than just have all this cash. And I'm like, no one, in my opinion, no one needs necessarily the kind of money that I have, but it's not even that anymore. It's like, I just want to keep proving myself that I can get better. I just want to keep proving to myself and be an inspiration and a motivation. And I love what I do. I could go off and try and do something else, like, making it some other world, but I just love what I do. And what am I supposed to just go on vacation for 3 years? I don't like that. I just like to keep grinding and pushing. So, yeah. And so
I was going to say, with the success that you had, the reality is I've had success in other ventures because obviously, I have my own business, or I have my own business. And I'm also, I went to work in corporate America, and I did all that. And, ever since I found you and the whole team, my whole entire energy shifted. Like, you've been trading for quite a few years, so your success level
Yeah.
And so now it's like you know, you do get complacent with what you do. You know, when you've been at a job for 4 or 5 years, it just doesn't have that same effect. And so to me, I'm trading. I love it. And so I see what you're talking about, and it feels like with your success, you're sort of pivoting into real estate and investing and going into like entrepreneurship. I know you're an entrepreneur now.
Yeah.
You run the channel and you have your business, Normac Trading, you know. I mean, I'm sure you're probably in other investments, but like to do it at the scale that you're doing it, that's going to drive you again. You know that? Because anytime you get complacent in a job, and I've experienced that, you need that fire to come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the moment you get that fire again, dude, guess what? It starts to influence the rest of your what you're doing, your trading, your investing.
Yeah.
Like you start to grow again, and you're like, oh man, I forgot how it feels to be on fire like that, right?
Yeah. And it helps that I also invest in EV charging. But it's all DCA'd away. So I dollar cost average. I have a portfolio, and it takes a chunk out of my bank account every single day. Honestly, like Robinhood's super slick. Like I put away, I think it's like $4,000 a day into the market every single day, and I continue to dollar cost average into the portfolio that I would like it to. So I'm in ARC, I'm in SPY, Q's, dollar cost average into EV, a little bit of Netflix, Shopify, and one other one. And that also helps my bank account come down. So it's been like kind of like pushing, right? Pushing. But I'm telling you, you know, there will be a point in my life where I completely don't have any, or I'm not going to say not any, but I'm going to try and shift it out as much as I can of any complacency that comes along with, you know, doing the right thing in the markets. And that's my biggest goal moving forward is getting rid of like that complacency feeling. And when I do get on this roll again, when I do get into a rhythm again, keeping it and not try, like, you know, I might lose quite a bit, but then just keep in that like realm of let's go every day, you know. And it's no like today, you know, I haven't felt this feeling in a while, but I knew today I was going to put on some risk. I didn't think it was going to be this kind of risk.
That yesterday.
Yeah, I said that yesterday, and so that and there's a lot to be said about, you know, being on the screens most of the day, getting an idea of what's going on in the markets, and then you start to have certain stocks that you look at, and you might not play it today, but it's on watch tomorrow, and you might not play it the next day, but it's on watch in a couple days, and all these things start to really soak into your mind, and it changes the whole entire outlook of what you're trading, you know. And with the inherited, you know, I might look at it, I have a different mindset in the inherited than I would in my day trading. So, you know, I was able to take advantage of AUVI yesterday quite a bit. And then the day prior, you know, red box, I've been swinging that one for a couple weeks. And, you know, I nailed half of it perfectly, and the other half I did all right. But, you know, the difference is like my old self would wait for that huge extension, like 25s, 30s, 40s on red box. But paying yourself and scaling in and scaling out is a proper way of trading, and that's how, you know, most people will do it, you know. And also, the biggest thing, too, is I always have to tell myself, you know, there isn't one trader out there in the entire world. Warren Buffett, George Soros, we can go on and on, Peter Lynch. Everyone has to allocate, like, it cannot be all-in mentality. Now, when I started the $1,001 million challenge, I will admit, when I have that $1,000, I go in all in sometimes, but it's such a minimal amount of money. It doesn't, to me at least, it does.
Because you have allocated the risk, and the reality is it's not to blow up the account. You're strategically placing that because you see the potential of you're trading the chart, and that's what people don't understand. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah. So I see your concept, because size is I wouldn't say it's not irrelevant, but it's relevant. But it's in that sense, it's almost irrelevant, because I tell people all the time, I'm trading the chart. I don't give a shit about the P&L. Yeah. If I'm correct and my thesis is correct, and I think you're the same way, if I enter here, my plan is to exit XYZ. Am I right? Right.
Yeah. I mean, generally, yeah, I look at a chart, and that happened yesterday. Someone was like, you know, or maybe it was today, it was like not a sympathy play. And there's so much that goes into it. I could go on and on explaining it. But Basically, when you get into the world of stocks that travel 500 to 1,000% quickly, and if they're trading a $500 million to $1 billion plus per day while doing that, there's I start to flood my head with a lot of things, but basically it's like, I'll try and make it simple, but it's like when that happens, other stocks are going to start running. SIDU today, that's because there's a ton of FOMO going on. What was the other one? CMRA. What was the other one? AUVI. What was that?
AERC.
Well, AERC is the lead of that, right? Redbox is starting to rant. That's causing FOMO. REV, which is one of my main watches going into tomorrow. So when you start to see a lot of volume, the biggest concept in trading is a lot of volume and a fast percentage gainer. If you can get a stock that trades $1 billion plus per day and is up, the higher the percentage, the better. The more FOMO we're going to see throughout the entire market. It will disperse. It always does. Doesn't matter on what scale, right? We saw it with Tesla. Then we started to see NEO. We started to see Blink. We started to see... So it doesn't matter. It happens throughout the entire market. It's not just small caps. It's not just mid caps. And it's not just large caps. It's the full-on grand scheme. But I play things that can change your life quickly, change your life fast, and with a small amount of capital, right? You might see a large cap or like an AMC and GameStop. That was so textbook. And if we had those trading vehicles all the time, my gosh, I would be... It would be so awesome, right?
If you game over, like, you'd probably buy like a 20-unit apartment complex right now.
Right, yeah. I would literally, and that's the dream world for me, is like something like AMC and GameStop, and I call it a trading vehicle because it is. I don't care what the name of the stock is, what they do, their financials, none of that. I could care less.
Who the CEO is.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with that in the long term. If you're going to look at something for a 5, 10, 20-year horizon, sure, you can start to get into that stuff. I got no problem with that. But at the end of the day, price action is king. It overweighs everything. It's the number one thing that needs to be focused on because that is basically only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how much money a company's making. It doesn't matter, where they're at in their financial stability. If their stock is going down and continues to go down, you're losing money. That's it. There is no other way of explanation. So, that's why I always say price action is king. And like a day like today, we saw multiple stocks up 100+%. We've been seeing things run like Redbox and AERC. Those are the two main runners. And the great part about that is they do have substantial volume. If you see a stock up 1,000% and it's only up on $10 million in one day, then it doesn't mean anything. And so, but if you're trading $500 million to $1 billion per day and it's up 100 to 300%, then you start watching other things start to run. Other people are thinking the same thing, and that's when the market starts to become really awesome. And that's when I trade my best because the biggest movers, biggest rampers, biggest rippers are going to happen from that. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Honestly, that's ever since I started my career, to be honest with you, dude, it's always been the thing that, like, I love having these northern stars, like yourself, like Jordan, like Ariel. To me, it's inspiring because all these on for the same exact reason, right?
Yeah.
So we can all put food on the table, so we can have a better life, so we can do the things that we love, and have the financial freedom. Look at Jordan. The guy crushed it last year, and just enjoy life. He can start pivoting, making adjustments to his trading, like
take naps.
That?
Did you hear it? Take naps.
Yeah, he takes naps. He's always playing video games because you can see it when he's Jordan, or is it Jordan playing video games? Like, look at Jordan playing video games right now.
Yep.
And so to me, it's kind of like, dude, this is my second year of actually trading, and like you said, it's not about the money at this point, but it's about the whole concept of trading, the financial freedom that we get. If you can literally invest time into educating yourself, doing all the things that you've already done all this, you're an OG.
Yeah.
And to hear it coming from your mouth, it's just like you want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. One of the things that I do want to say is I try to protect as many people as I can in there because, man, I was new and I used to get smoked all the time.
Yeah.
I got smoked all the time. And so the reason why I post is not to go against anybody, not to go to trade against anybody. not to even call people out. It's mainly because I want to protect the newbies because, man, they have no clue. They literally, there's a real dark side to trading, and I think we've all been exposed and experienced that dark side, right?
Yeah, I mean, I lost half my net worth, and I'll never forget. It's one of the lowest pits in my stomach because I actually pretty much convinced myself to quit. And it's just that's crazy to me to look back at that, and like I like told everyone, and I was just like I was very convinced to quit, but luckily I hung on. But it's a very real thing for me. I mean, it's like I lost quite a bit of money when I started, and I kept losing accounts. I probably blew up 15, 20 accounts. I can't even remember how many accounts I blew up, and doing stupid things, using SureTrader back then and using 10x leverage. I mean, just learning the hard way, learning just learning a world that I could tell was hard. Let's put it that way. That alone taught me a lot about trading. Is you can never know for sure. And I'll just never forget those days. I'll never ever forget those days. And that's
crazy to look back, though. To think the difference, because I know when I started 3 years ago. And I studied for that entire year. I never really thought that I would get this. And I think you can relate because I would, like you said, I just would lose more. I would lose more and more and more, and I kept thinking to myself, man, this is so hard. Like, how do people really make money in this?
Yeah.
I remember seeing you post like $60,000 winner, $100,000, and I would tell them like, how?
Yeah.
How this guy doing this? And I would watch all of your, daily recaps, and you would give tidbits here and there. And I started just implementing a little bit of information that you would give. Then I got the course, obviously. Then I started coming up with my own. One of the things that you taught me that was the key was trade your own plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does he mean by that? And so what I did was I structured it like a business, and that's when scalping just evolved for me. And it's like, because my goal ultimately is to make the six-figure day. I mean, we seen Jordan make it last year. Jordan made $100,000 in a day. We seen Ariel make it.
Yeah, Ariel just did it, I think.
Yeah, and so it's not unrealistic. It's just the accomplishment to do all the work to finally get to that level. I don't think people realize how hard it really is.
No. And it's hard to just sit here and look at me talk about stocks and see that I've done that. Like it is. It's like it doesn't. But if I could just put a little something together that would make you and everyone understand how long I've been, everyone says I haven't been doing this a long time in the grand scheme of things. It's been like almost 5 years now, 4.5 years. To me, it feels like a long time because I'm, I don't know. But in the end, that's a 4-year degree. So. And putting in that time, though, is something that I wish I could show everyone because, it is a lot, especially in the beginning. I put in a lot of time. Now, I've pretty much studied everything I can. I consistently look for things to study, and it becomes harder and harder. I actually like to learn about, over the past 6 to 9 months, I've bought a lot of books for long-term stuff. But... at the end of the day, a lot of the concepts to me are the same. It's just a matter of scaling now, continuously scaling. And so, yeah. So.
Well, I know you got to go, man. If there's one thing that you could give me, one advice, I'm here. So as everybody should know this, as a student of the game and as a student of CAM, what advice would you give me? You've seen my progression. When I first DM'd you and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, what would you recommend? And I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was the guy that people, you know what I'm saying? And so
yeah.
I messaged you and I remember, and you were like, dude, study your ass off. And I know that's the cliche, everybody says that, but I'm at a level now where my goal, the homework has been done.
Yeah.
My new goal is scaling and holding for that bigger move. That's honestly my goal. My goal is to start making the 20, 30K days.
Yeah.
Been really, really challenging, especially as a scalper, but I'll take any advice you got, my man.
Yeah, and I talked to Jordan about this, like, because he's kind of in a similar boat, and, it's like, when you start sizing up, there's a lot of different ways I can take it, but, one thing is, like, so sizing up, right, like, the less size you have, the easier it is to hold for longer, generally, as a human being, right? If you have a little bit of size, you can hold longer throughout the day, and you don't really care. Now, I can guarantee you, for the most part, unless you're robotic, the more size you have, the more you're going to be like this on the screens, like just like trying to like figure out what's going on, and you're constantly...
Pictures, sweaty palms.
Yeah, exactly. And so, one thing to help you with that is sizing down and just letting things kind of happen, and then taking that trade and growing on it, taking that trade and growing on it, taking that trade and growing on it. And for me, I know what it's like to be swinging in and out of a stock, and it just comes with actually putting yourself in that position, right? I've been in countless amount of stocks where I'm up plenty of money up and down, right? But it started small, and it started... What was that? Sorry?
I said, let me interject. I seen in your videos, you're up like 50, 60,000, and I'm like, take the money.
Yeah.
And then you're up like 80,000, and I'm like, he's not taking the money.
Yeah, and Jordan's always trying to take me to get the money off at like 5K, So, but then I watch it go another 300%, and it's like a fine line between like, being smart and letting your runners ride when they should, and then also, not taking it off when you shouldn't be, even though you're up a lot of money, right? Like, and so I would say, biggest thing I'd say is less size, and then slowly grow into that size if you're going to hold on to things longer. Because I know for a fact, like AERC today, I had 30,000 shares of the damn thing. Like, I knew I was going to be out of it pretty quickly. Like, I'm not in 30,000 shares to hold on to that, like, maybe if my account was at a couple mil, sure, but it's not. I'm trying to play percentages based upon my account, and I knew that I had a pretty big position in that. And at the end of the day, you have a plan going into it, and my plan was on that big position, that I knew that there was going to be three lows on it, right? And it had already been volatile on the way up, so 1, 2, and 3, and that third low, I was able to take it off on a perka, because generally it's gonna have a bounce. It might not be a bounce through the new highs, but I got myself in too big of a position, and I was just trying to wiggle myself out of a position. And sometimes that's how you have to trade. You have to wiggle yourself, and that's something that I've been doing differently than I have in the past 10 months. Sometimes I get into a position where I might be down, but I can still get myself out break even, and that's the goal. And that's something that a lot of people need to learn too, is like, you might be down in certain trades, okay, but at the end of the day, if you can start to be patient and let the stock start to breathe and let it work out, and then to start taking size in certain areas where you can start to take your average down and realize that maybe you're not going to be comfortable in it, but you also, need to get yourself out of it, what I call wiggle yourself out of it. Sometimes I'll take a trade and all of a sudden I'm kind of getting away from my rules, but I'm able to get out of it break even. And that was something that was coming up to me with AERC today. I was like, On that third trade, I started getting a little bit too big of a position, and the tape started to change, luckily, and then I started to build conviction off higher lows and the way the tape was moving. But I started to get into that break-even mentality, like, how am I going to wiggle myself out? And just, wiggling yourself out of trades, too, is a very important thing to keep your day going, keep your positivity up for the day, is, trying to make smart trades and the right trades is a big thing. But for you, biggest thing I would say is definitely sizing smaller and just letting it pan out. And being able to see what happens in front of you. And then over time, once you start to really feel that smaller size, you can take on maybe 100 more shares, 1,000 more shares, 10,000 more shares. And it kind of sounds weird, but the bigger losses you take, the more you learn. And so
I've noticed that.
Yeah, so when I take big losses, I learn so much. I remember the BTX days, and I'll probably never do that again. And I lost 1.7 million in like a week and a half, right? So that, and it's ingrained, right? I'll never forget that. And I think the biggest thing too with a big loss is, you never forget it. And that's the biggest part of learning, is never forgetting that setup. That thing is in my brain more than any other trade, and I know I'll never make that same mistake again. I'll see the tape, and I'll know exactly what I'm looking at. And I can't stress that enough, and I'm not saying take big losers on purpose, but if you ever get a little oversized and you take a big loss and you know what it feels like, that'll pay dividends over the long term, as long as you can keep it small enough to not kick you out. All the losses that I've taken over my career, they might be big, right? They might look big and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's never going to make it. I always make my losses I can handle them enough to where I'll be back to fight another day. And even though, you take a loss, like I just explained, or I think I've taken $1 million loss in one day or close to it, I remember those same exact, the way the tape moves, the way the chart's forming up, the concept, the whole entire thing. I can play it back in my memory when I'm in something. And if I start to get that feel, I'm out immediately. It doesn't matter if I'm up 50, 1,000, 100,000, I'm out, right?
I had a big loss like that, and it was they were exercising warrants. Now, mind you, I don't care. I'm a scalper.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I don't care about the company. I don't care. I'm just in it for the move.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to catch the bottom.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they were liquidating or they were exercising their warrants. And so because it never bottomed, I lost $28,000 in one day.
Yeah.
For me, that's huge. That's like a month right there.
Right.
I couldn't figure out why. And exactly what you just said, it hit home.
Mm-hmm.
I did the homework. I learned so much what warrants are and how they exercise them, and then I realized, holy crap! So now you're right. Every time I see that happening, I literally tell everybody, I feel like they're exercising their warrants.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're exercising warrants. Be careful, team. This could just sell off.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from those now.
Yeah, and now you know exactly what it looks like on the tape. Now you know exactly what it looks like, and you just realize that, for the next time you're going to be better. What's going on, Gary? For the next time you're going to be better, and in the end, taking losses aren't a bad thing, but you have to keep yourself afloat in those losses. I think a huge mistake that people make is when you have a loss, don't look at it like, and it's not, every human's going to be like, oh my gosh, this feels terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an awful trader. Well, the reality is, if you took the loss and you're able to keep yourself afloat, then you learned so much. You learned a ton. And that's all you can say to yourself. This is a big learning curve. I would cut my losses, maybe not where I should have, but enough to where I can keep myself going. And if you can take big losses time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, and keep yourself afloat while doing that, I think that's a big part of being a really good trader. So.
I absolutely agree with you 100%, man. Hey, I know you got to go.
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this, dude. Check this out.
Yeah.
I just broke $400,000 for the year.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
1 to 2K a day.
And everybody, and I'm glad that there's it's always different levels. It doesn't matter, where you're at in your career. There's different levels. I might be unrealistic, and even that number is unrealistic. I mean, you're already at a point where you're making more almost than a doctor would, right? And so it's just crazy the opportunity trading brings. And I hope that all of you guys realize that, and I'm glad that Diego, great friend and, awesome student as well, and you're going to continue to be crushing it. I know you will, because I know what it takes. And I can see someone who is consistent, who has it. And when you show up every day like you do, when you ask the right questions like you do, I'm at the point in my career where I might have been trading for 4.5 years or so, but I've also had multiple companies in the past that I deal with thousands and thousands of traders. And I can sift through someone, when they send me the first 3 questions, I know whether this person is going to be taking it seriously or whether, they're kind of just here for the short term. And that's just me being blunt. I've seen it so many times in my career. And the reality is 90% of people fail in this world. And you and I alone are probably just the point where I'm probably the top 3%, let's say. And Go ahead. Sorry.
Is it? We're part of the 1% crew, baby.
Yeah. That's right. But yeah, so, and so trading, in a sense, it's a long-term thing. Correct, Gary. I mean, even if we're traders, I might be looking at things intraday, but there's so much that can happen intraday that I've proven that you could take advantage of, and I've missed out on hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars throughout my career. But the thing is like, it all comes to just putting yourself in the right position, having the right size, and growing on that. Like when you see a stock trade $1 billion, you know that there's a lot of opportunity there, and it's just a matter of how much size you're going to take, right? And so, it's definitely one of those things that you should be proud of. Congrats, man! That's so freaking awesome. Maybe.
I think I'm about 300K before I hit $1 million.
Yeah, you got to do something crazy when you hit $1 million. I don't know what that crazy is, but
I think I'm at 700,000 for my 2 years.
Yeah.
The first year I studied, I literally watched all the videos. I'm telling you, dude, I was a maniac.
Yeah.
So,
no, I know. I
agree with you. You can tell when people DM me and they ask me the first few questions, and I'm like, don't waste my time.
and I'm not going to say that bluntly, but I've just, I see him and I'm like, I'm sorry, but like I get hundreds of DMs sometimes per day. And I would just drive myself nuts. I do my best with the reason why I go live on YouTube every day is because everyone could see it. I don't have to respond to a ton of DMs. And here it is. You can go back and learn from the way I traded that day. And, and then you have to put the time in, though. If you want to put 20 minutes and 30 minutes, you have to put the time in. No one's putting that time in for you. And if you have a tight schedule, allocate time that you feel like is right. And, and I always tell people this, even if you're doing it part-time, you're better off doing it part-time and learning consistently. It might take you double the amount of time it took for me or triple the amount of time for me, but it's a lifelong skill that's never going to go away. It's the heartbeat of the economy. And even if you're not in it for the money, you're in it for just a little hobby or for the fun or for the learning curve.
I think realistically people should learn this just to begin with, because this, like you said, this is the lifeblood of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can start managing your own 401k, your own Roth, your own retirement fund. Like, I wish I learned this, and I tell people, when I was young.
And I wish I learned it when I was Sam's age, right?
Sam's age, yes. Like, why did I, you know what I'm saying? I went to college, I graduated, I went to work for Fortune 500 companies, I opened my own businesses, and I'm just now learning this on my own, and I'll tell you right now, biggest blessing of my life was to find trading.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
I'm about to become a millionaire from just using this and this.
It just doesn't feel real, but it's the way the economy rolls, and at the end of the day, even if you don't even trade, just learning the markets, understanding when inflation's going to happen. I mean, just the other day, this is a funny example, but I'll probably end with this because I do have to go. But the funny example, even if you're not in it for the money, is the other day I ran, like this is last night, I was hanging out with Jordan. We were hanging out all day, and we were doing some cardio, and then we had some sushi and stuff. And I remember leaving his apartment at like 10 last night. And, like things like this where I was like, I see oil prices are going up. I know how it all works now because I've seen it so many times. The gas prices are going to go higher than where they're at right now, even just looking at USO. It's just a delay. And, I know that Costco's at $5.15, right? So then I looked here and it was $5.15. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to fill up the tank because I know those prices are going up. It's just little things, right? Where, like it's a constant reality that...
Those are $5 right now. They used to be $2.50 an avocado.
Oh man, I mean it's insane. I got a buddy who's working for Costco, and he just keeps talking about how food prices, they can only take on so much before they have to raise prices.
Dude, the chip shortage made me pay top dollar for my new cars. I mean,
yeah.
it all, and we're in the center of this.
Mm-hmm.
That is just powerful. That's why, like, people don't understand. This is the biggest blessing for me to be able to like share these ideas with guys like you, with Sam, with Graduate, with Jordan. That's why I love this whole fucking squad, dude. Because you know they don't realize the blessing that the trading has had for me, and I do, because I've been on the weekend, and you've been at Pizza Hut, you've been places, and so it's like, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun to all get together, and I love talking stocks. I love talking about the economy, and you know, people probably don't get to see the goofy side of me, but you know, maybe when we all get together, who knows? Yeah. So.
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for you know, messaging me, and hopefully we can help people at least be inspired, motivated. If anything else, just start their trading journey somehow, whether it just be spending an hour a day, 20 minutes a day, just looking at stocks, just learning how things can potentially change your life. So.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Cam, thank you for joining me and having me, dude. And honestly, thank you for providing that room, man.
I look forward to more people finding us, and I look forward to even more mods and really getting together, and that's going to be, it's an awesome concept. It really is. It's super awesome. So, all right, everyone on here, thanks for coming on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, cheers team, and go Hawks. I think he's located in Cali. No, I'll have to ask.